It was almost midnight when Julia and Marcos hurried out for a corporate event. The couple had hired a nanny through a newly launched app. Verified profile, good reviews, friendly photo. Her name? Isadora. Upon arrival, Isadora was extremely kind. Young, discreet, she wore an old but clean dress. Little Luna, aged 4, greeted her with a shy smile. Julia found it curious how the girl felt comfortable right from the start. In the car, Marcos commented, "Doesn't she seem a bit out of place? Like she stepped out another time?" Julia laughed, saying he was reading too much into it because of the horror movies he watched. Around 1 a.m., the nanny began to sing a lullaby that was not part of any known repertoire. Her voice was sweet, but laden with deep sadness. Luna listened in silence, her eyes fixed, as if she were hypnotized. On the baby monitor in the room, a recording started by itself. The image showed Luna sleeping, but beside her, there was a woman with her back turned. The strange thing was that Isadora was in the living room, reading a book silently. When Julia tried to call home after noticing the movement through the camera app, the call dropped. The red light on the baby monitor began to blink on its own, and on the screen, the figure next to Luna turned her face toward the camera, revealing an unnatural smile. Luna began to talk to someone invisible. The recording captured her soft voice saying, "You're going to sleep here with me tonight, right? Mommy doesn't need to come back ever again." And then, the sound of laughter that was not a child's. When Julia and Marcos arrived home, Isadora greeted them with the same calm as before. "She's already asleep." "It was a quiet night," she said, smiling. The couple, relieved, thanked her. But when they went upstairs, they found Luna awake, curled up in a corner of the room, crying. She wasn't the girl in the picture. Luna whispered, her eyes wide. "She came from the closet, the shadow lady. And she doesn't have feet, Mommy. She floats." Julia's blood ran cold. She ran to the living room. Isadora had vanished. The cameras were checked immediately. The strange thing was that, throughout the night, there was no record of any nanny entering, only distorted and static images when the strangest moments occurred. They decided to contact the app. No registration with the name Isadora existed anymore. The profile had been deleted, as if it had never been there. The exchanged messages disappeared. Only one line remained in the history. "Thank you for letting me take care of her. She is perfect." That night, Luna had a high fever and murmured names that her parents had never taught her. One of them was Helena Isadora. Julia researched the name and discovered something shocking. In 1963, a nanny by that name murdered a child and disappeared without a trace. According to the newspaper of the time, she claimed the child was her lost reincarnation, and that by taking care of her, she would finally feel complete. The news was accompanied by an old black and white photo. It was the same woman who had been in their home. The following night, Luna began to draw obsessively. Always the same image, her holding hands with a tall, faceless woman floating. In the drawings, Luna was always smiling, but off the paper, she barely spoke. The nanny returned, but she didn't knock on the door. She appeared in the reflection of the hallway mirror while Luna slept. Julia caught a glimpse of her. She couldn't move. The figure merely whispered, "I promise to come back every midnight." Today, the house is for sale, but no one dares to buy it. The hallway camera, even when turned off, sometimes blinks at midnight, and always records the same phrase in a low voice. "Shoo, the nanny has arrived." Miss Calls Amanda was a young investigative journalist, used to dealing with bizarre cases. But what started as a simple annoyance on her phone would turn into one of the most terrifying episodes of her life. One night, alone in her apartment, she received a call from her own number. On the screen, it read, "Missed call." She laughed, thinking it was a bug. But it happened again the next night, and the night after that. Curious, she decided to answer. On the other end of the line, there were only noises and something that sounded like her own breathing, but quickened, nervous, desperate. Suddenly, she heard her own voice whisper, "Run." The phone fell from her hand. Her blood ran cold. It was her voice, without a doubt. But she hadn't said anything. She decided to record the next call. And that same night, the phone rang again. In the recording, she clearly heard her voice crying, pleading, "Don't go into the room. He's here." Amanda's eyes widened. It was as if she were warning herself from a future that hadn't happened yet. Determined to uncover the origin, she took the phone to a technician, but he turned pale upon hearing the audios. He said the originating number didn't exist. It was an empty sequence, with no record in any carrier. Amanda then began to have nightmares, always with the same dark room, with a shadow standing next to the bed. In one of them, she woke up inside the dream, with the phone ringing inside the wall. The messages became clearer, voicemails left by herself saying things like, "If you keep listening, he will notice. You are being watched." The hallway light in her apartment began to flicker on its own. At 3 a.m., someone knocked on the door. Through the peephole, no one. But the phone rang again, and now it was coming from inside. When she answered, Amanda heard screams, rushing, sounds of furniture breaking, and then something shocking, the sound of her own death. A last gasp, a dull thud. The call ended with, "End a call." She went to the mirror. There was something different about her reflection. Her eyes looked sunken, darker. As she stepped back, she realized her reflection was still looking, even after she turned her back. The next day, she tried to escape. She hit the road, threw the phone into the bushes. But hours later, the car radio tuned itself and played the audio of the missed call. She almost flipped the car in fright. With no way out, she returned to the apartment. The walls were scratched with phrases identical to those from the calls. And on the bedroom wall, a huge phrase in red, "You never answered in time." The doorbell rang. Trembling, she opened the door. In the hallway, there was no one. Just a phone identical to hers, ringing on the floor. On the screen, "Last call, Amanda." When she answered, she heard her own voice. "It's too late. Now I'm the one who lives, and you who calls." She tried to scream, but the world around her began to disappear. Her arms, her legs, turned to static.